Good morning and welcome to the Wallet to Wealth Female Entrepreneur Series. I'm Whitney Hammond, and in support of Halton Women's Place, we have created From Wallet to Wealth, which is a brand created to speak to women to help educate, inspire, and lead women to leading more healthy and inspired lives. For those of you who missed our annual gala From Wallet to Wealth, which ran on November the 12th, it was a fabulous event. So for those of you who are doing Zoom events, talk to me first because it is a ton of work. We had 5 main stage speakers, and so we had 11 speakers in total. And what it did was it gave women fabulous takeaways for their personal life and for their business life. We were able to raise over $31,000 for Halton Women's Place. Yeah, so we had over $6,000 in gifts, and it was rocking. We had a ton of people on the call, obviously, to be able to raise that money. Sorry, I'm just checking my tech stuff here. And so not only did we help women win, we helped raise that large sum of money for Halton Women's Place. So we plan to do this every year. So stay tuned for the 2021 events that are coming up. So in 2019, we did 7 very large events. We had up to 200 people per event. And in 2020, we had some live, and then obviously we went to virtual. Leading up to November will always be the annual gala, which is Women's Abuse Prevention Month. And let's see, what else did I want to say here before we jump in? So we broke through the barriers. So what we did was in 2019, we raised half the amount. We raised $15,000. In 2020, we raised double that amount. So, and speaking of breaking barriers, today we have a fabulously creative designer who comes up with ingenious ideas in her glam jewels business. Monica Graves, and many of you know her, has been in business for over 20 years now, which rocks. I love people in business for a long time. And for those of you who know her, Monica is a fun, free-spirited, and smart woman. Characteristics that we all want. So welcome, Monica.
Oh, that's such a lovely introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Whitney, it's kind of like we're veterans, eh? The 20 plus in business women.
Yeah, it's there we go. I've got technology is fine. Yes, you know what? It's like, and this is what's so nice is to help encourage women to stay in business for decades, because when you stay in for a long time, you really know how to serve people. And that's what we're here for. We're here to selflessly serve our customers and do it in a fun, creative way. I mean, we're not stressed anymore. We know how to do this.
Yeah.
So recently we've been talking about limiting beliefs and intergenerational messages that we get, or societal messages. And it's one of the things that can sometimes stop us from, going and doing our own business or running a business for a long time for longevity. We have these messages and they've been passed down to us. Mm-hmm. So tell us about the messages that you picked up when you were younger and throughout your life.
Yeah. So when I was younger, my parents were they both came from Germany at different times. They met in Canada. So I had like the whole immigrant family upbringing. And my parents set the example of you worked really hard during the day, but after work, it wasn't a time for TV. It was a time for hobbies. And a lot of times those hobbies were to make extra money for the family. So I kind of grew up with my mom, especially. She's still very entrepreneurial. My dad he used to make wine in the basement, and he became like an amazing winemaker to the point where he could have been doing this professionally, but he just shared with friends. And so both of them had always mastered a craft. My mom did income tax preparation on the side. She used to make beautiful flowers, paper flowers. She did decoupage. Remember decoupage in the 70s? Yeah, she did that. And so I was always around that. And so really the messaging I got was make lots of money so that you're secure, you have that financial security blanket, but you know, be creative on the side. So for me, the idea of being creative full time was kind of scary. I didn't
Yeah.
know what that would look like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? So yeah,
Yeah, so
that,
it sounds like you actually you took that message that you learned was that
yeah,
one was to have a stable job, and then the second one was it's okay to have a sidekick.
yeah,
And so and then you were able to break through those barriers where you know
yeah,
so it's in a way it's kind of some adversity thinking, limiting belief that I
right.
need to have a job
Yeah,
and then I need to have a side hustle.
yeah.
And so it's kind of cool because I'm also from first generation Canadian. My dad was born in Europe also, and he didn't have me till he was 45. So it was like
Wow.
I had a really old message. But yeah, it's really cool when you break through. I never had a side hustle, so a little bit different than you. That whole part of like making the leap of faith. So tell us
Yeah,
about how that experience, because you'll tell us about your
yeah,
first career and then how you got yourself aligned and what it's like to be aligned today so people can understand
right.
sometimes taking that leap of faith is not a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of strange, like even going back to high school, I went all the way to grade 12, and then I decided I'm going to go to Sheridan College and get my early childhood education. I'm going to be either have my own daycare center or I'm going to be a kindergarten teacher. It was going to be one of those two things. And I had a side thing I had already started when I was 15. I was hand painting t-shirts. So I had my own business. I was in the school store. I was doing the CNE, the 20, you know,
I love it.
schlepping through the summer, all that stuff, down at the harbor front, with my
That is
hand
so
painted
cool. I
t-shirts.
mean,
It,
stop on that for a second. That
yeah,
is so cool. You were made, I mean, because back then, I think we're probably pretty close to the same age. I mean,
yeah.
back then, we used to buy T-shirts with,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
Rush and,
Yeah.
you know, all of the popular rock bands back then.
Yeah.
So you like just blazed and figured out how to get those T-shirts and, you
Yep.
know, get the picture. Well, you drew the pictures on them, right?
Yeah, so people would get like Whitney, you could say, here, I'm like the biggest Geddy Lee fan. You got to put him on a shirt for me, and you just give me a picture or the album cover, and then I would duplicate it onto the shirt. And I would do, because I'm really good at painting, but drawing is not my forte. So I would do like a graph, and I would, do you remember learning that in school where you did like a graph to replicate something and then you
Yes.
draw each individual square, like what you saw? Yeah, so that's how I did it. And then eventually I started painting wall murals. So a friend gave me an overhead projector and I'd project images on the wall, and I do Disney, and I did in Oakville, if anybody remembers, well, they're still there, Corey's Roti, but at the old location, I did a beach scene for her. Also an auto dealership, you might know Multiline in Oakville.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did their back area. So this guy, the owner, was so cool. He was like, you know what? I want retro. I want a beach scene, and I want the Jetsons flying into the beach, and I want a Porsche parked on the beach with the Stones tongue hanging from the rear view mirror. And that mural I painted was 75 feet long and 30 feet high. It was amazing. So I was
You
like 27 years old by then, but yeah, crazy. So, but
that
going,
is so much fun.
I know, but going back to the early childhood education. So here I am, 17 years old in college, and I do a semester and I'm like, holy shit, this is like, no, this is not for me. These girls are older, they're more experienced with guys. And it was very intimidating. I'm like, I want to go back to high school and do my grade 13. So I went back, finished grade 13. And I remember saying to my dad, Dad, I want to go back to school, but I know I'm an artist, but I don't know what to take and I don't know what to do, but I know I have to be an artist. And he said, Monica, you have to figure out how you're going to make money at this, and you have to know exactly what you want before you're going to. And I was like, I don't know what I want. So I ended up getting through a mutual friend. I was babysitting for a family. This woman says, you know, you got such a great personality. I'd love to have you work in my customer service department at Canada Post. just giving out postal codes over the phone. And I was like, great. So now I'm like 18 years old. I'm making $32,000 or 19, sorry, $32,000 a year.
It's a
Like
lot
in
back then.
1980, what is that? 1989, 88. Yeah. That's a lot of money back then. So I'm like
Yes.
raking it in, and I'm still saying to my dad, I want to be an artist and blah. And my parents are like, if you don't know what you want to do exactly, then you got to save your money and get to Europe.
Ah.
So I went to Europe. I lived in Germany for like 4 months. I was there when the wall came down
Oh,
with
amazing.
my family. I worked in like this wine tower in a little village and, served wine. And my German is okay, but it really kind of got my confidence up with my German language. And then my parents came over and met me like 4 months later when I was ready to come home. And we went to Berlin, and my brother and the whole family was there. We got chunks of the wall and we brought pieces back for our history teachers. And it was quite amazing. And then I came home and they said, well, how are you feeling? What do you think about your education? And I'm like, education? I want to go back to Europe. I'm getting that job back at Canada Post so I can backpack again. Yeah, okay. So I went back, begged for my job back, worked there again for 6 months. Then I went back to Europe with my best friend. We went to England, France, Spain, Portugal, Morocco, Italy, Greece. And I am collecting jewelry like crazy because I love the jewelry and it's like so bohemian looking and different than what we had here. And had a great time there. And then Canada Post said, listen, we love having you here, but you can't keep leaving and coming back. You got to stay now. You got to sign in blood. And I was like, oh, okay. So
Get
I
a
stayed.
job.
Yeah, job. Yeah, I stayed. I made a little more money. I think I went up to 35,000 a year, and then I said to them, you know what? I want to work in sales. I want to be on the road. I want to meet people. I want to do cold calling. This is awesome. I want to be one of those people. They said, well, you need at least your business certificate. Do you have any business courses? I'm like, no. And they said, well, if you're going to stay, we're going to send you back to school part-time. So it took 2 years. And by that time I was painting a little, I was doing a little bit of jewelry making. And I wrote my business plan for Glam Jewels.
Oh, good.
Through that, business is business, right? But I learned so much. And so I figured out in my head how I could do what my parents did and have a full-time job that paid the bills and allowed me to, start investing, RSPs, all that stuff, and have a side hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did that for 18 years, Whitney.
Oh,
18 years of getting up early and going to bed at midnight and,
doing
trying
two
to do
jobs.
both. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
And
when did you finally say, I'm not coming into the post office anymore?
okay, so that was kind of like a gift because of course I thought, oh, I'd love to just be doing this full time. And I thought, well, maybe we should have a kid. Then I can have a maternity leave, like nice reason to have a kid, not really. Yeah, a good reason to have a child. So anyway, that didn't happen. And then there was actually a point, it was the fall, October of 2006. I got this terrible flu where I was like on the couch and I couldn't move. I was just so burnt out. And my husband said, you know what you have to watch? If you're going to be on the couch, you got to watch the show Prison Break. It's like the best. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's about these two guys who bust out of prison and whatever. I said, okay. So because I was on all these cold meds and I'm laying on the couch, I'm like dreaming about the show. I'm thinking about it all the time. It's like I'm manifesting this stupid show. I go back to work and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in prison. Like, cause I worked at the Gateway facility, right? And I'm walking through the cafeteria and I'm like, I got to bust out of here. Like I'm thinking all these weird thoughts at work. 3 days later, my boss calls me into his office and he says, we have to have a chat. For the first time in 20 years, Canada Post is looking at downsizing the sales department. And this union that you belong to is being offered a package to leave. So it's only you guys, there's like 30 people, and we have to offer it to you. And he was such a good boss. He said, You're such a great team member. You really know your stuff. It would be a tremendous loss if you took this package. And then he leaned over and he looked at me and he said, but for you, it would be the best thing you could do. Take it and just run, because you know what you're doing. You know about business. You're strong. I believe in you. I want you to live the rest of your life like happy and fulfilled. You don't need to be here anymore. And it was like he gave me permission. And I still wasn't convinced, because I had to tell my parents and my husband, and they were all like, yeah, of course, do it. And it was such a blessing. I'm like, oh my God. And I was like I think two other people took it. It almost felt like the universe handed it to me and said,
Yeah.
you know, you spent 3 days on the couch on the flu, on the cold meds. And, you know, I mean, I felt it coming. Do you ever get that where you're like, it's so exciting, you feel it? It's almost like I knew that was going to happen.
Oh yeah. It's
Yeah.
you have a premonition that something's going to
Yeah.
happen. You don't know exactly what it is. Oh
Yeah.
I've had that. That's so cool.
Yeah. It was
So
amazing.
so you took that leap of faith
I did.
and gave up. Okay, it was really important for people to hear this. You gave up a regular salary, and so now
Yeah.
you're, because it's feast or famine when you're an
Right.
entrepreneur. Your income starts going like this, and that paycheck every Friday that we might bitch and complain about is not
Yeah.
a bad deal after you don't have it anymore.
That's right.
So tell us about the business that you built.
Right. So I've learned so many lessons. So this is one thing. The first thing that happened to me, I thought I knew myself. I didn't know who I was. So here I was, walk away from the full-time thing. I had a bit of a cushion because, of course, they gave me a package, right? So that was nice, but it wasn't nearly what I was making before. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing in this business? Because I had run the side hustle so well that I had 8 employees working for me while I had the full-time thing, right?
That's crazy.
So it was insane. And it was working. It was a machine that worked. And I'm like, okay, but now who am I in this business? How do I fit in? What am I doing? I mean, I had a sales rep. So what happened to me was I started taking over things, but then I was like, oh no, now I'm in the business. I used to be on the business. Now I'm in it. What am I doing? Like now. And so there were so many things that I learned about myself and my own need to like control what was going on and letting things go and letting other people do, you know, what they were good at. And also just getting in touch with myself. Like, what do I like? What don't I like? What do I feel passionate about? What do I not care about? So there was a lot of time at the beginning where I felt like I was reaching for things that I thought I should be doing, that other people were doing. Like a lot of things, I mean, I don't regret any of them, but things like I was approached to participate in the Much Music Video Awards, and I was backstage and I met celebrities and I put jewelry on, like Fergie from Black Eyed Peas. I met Paris Hilton, Carmen Electra, like all these people, Tori Spelling, and had conversations with them and hung out with them, you know, but it cost money to be there. And I was like, did I actually need that? And now, Whitney, when I look back at that person I was back then, I was so, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't believe this is happening to me. I can't believe what did I ever do to deserve this? Like I had that gratitude, but now I would say, no, that's okay. I have people who have been following me for over 20 years. I'd rather celebrate them than a celebrity who doesn't know me at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
like I'm good. Yeah. You know, I don't get that. Like I still get starstruck. I met Olivia Newton-John. That was like, and that was in a completely different thing, which we can talk about if you want. That's quite a phenomenal story. But
did you do any fundraising with Olivia Newton-John?
Yeah. So
yeah, I thought so, because she had breast cancer. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So what happened? It's like a quick story, but I think people will be inspired by it. So what happened was in 2012, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. I was actually already involved with the Jewellery Cancer Center before that, doing fundraising pieces for them where they could, you know, they were raising money with my jewelry. So we were doing all these campaigns, and then they reached out to me. They said, Monica, your favorite girl is coming to Hamilton, Olivia Newton-John. We're hosting her at Carmen's. We'd like to invite you to be our guest. It's going to be a spectacular evening. And we'd also love it if you would make her a special piece. She loves orchids. Is there something you could do? I'm like, oh my God, of course. Yes, I'll do that. So here it is, the date's coming sooner and sooner. My dad gets his diagnosis and things are going downhill. So the Tuesday, it's on a Tuesday, I go there, I meet Olivia Newton-John, I'm there to see this concert. I have this beautiful necklace I've done in like orchid colors. And then I have a roller skate hanging off the back of the necklace because of Xanadu, my favorite movie of all time. And she was of course, the star of that movie. And so I wanted to acknowledge that. And I wrote her a letter about how that movie inspired me and how it transferred itself into everything in my life. So the concert is happening. My poor dad is dying. I don't really want to be there. I want to be with my dad, but it's going on. At the end of the concert, the woman from Hamilton Health Sciences Foundation, Pearl Venema, comes on stage to thank Olivia for the beautiful evening. And she has a gift she would like to present to her. And I'm thinking, okay, well, it's going to be like, whatever. Didn't even think it could be mine. And then I see this beautiful mirrored box that I'd put the necklace in. And I'm like, oh my God, it's my necklace. So she pulls it out, she puts it on her neck and she goes, where is the girl? Where is the girl? And I'm like, oh my God. So I stand up and I wave and she's blowing me kisses. And I'm like, oh, that's so nice. So I was like looking at the clock. Okay, good. So Olivia's acknowledged it. This is quite the story. I got to get my butt back to the hospital. Like, I got to see my dad. Then the concert, she does one last song. The people come down from Hamilton Health Sciences. Monica, Olivia would like to meet you backstage. So you'd think, I'm like, oh my God, no. I go, oh, in my head, I'm like, oh shit, but I want to go back to the hospital. Is it okay to say shit on the show? By the way, I'm sorry. So I go backstage and it's lovely. She talks to me. We have a photo together. I tell her, we were talking about Xanadu. We're just talking about, it was just so chilled out because the thing with my dad is so heavy that meeting her was like talking to a friend. I didn't feel that like, oh my God, it's Olivia, that like, oh, what am I going to say? And, I have nothing worthy to say to her. It was like human to human, beautiful connection. And so then the next morning I went and my dad was still coherent enough to put his thumbs up when I showed him the picture of Olivia he and I really shared Olivia. Like, we listened to her. He took me with my girlfriends to see Xanadu when I was 11. It was like our thing. And then he passed away on the Friday. So it was like, which is 8 years ago today. And I'm so happy, Whitney, to be on the show because I didn't really know you. And then you reached out to me and I'm like, okay, the two things my dad loved the most was money and airplanes, and you're both of those things. And I'm like, okay, this is the way I want to start today. This is good. It's all good vibes, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so amazing. So I'm so grateful.
Yeah, so I'm sorry that you lost him, and it's all kind of this magical moment where how much the two of you loved Olivia Newton-John together, and then this whole spiritual thing, which is kind of carrying on in my house right now because I do have another spirit in here. I don't know if it's your dad. I'm telling you, usually my dogs can't hear the spirits, but the event that we had the other night was like really loud,
vibing.
Yes, oh, if it's him, he's here. So which is good because if I wasn't here, I'd love to be watching my children too. So that's fabulous. So did you do any charity work then with the Cancer Society, which was inspired by Olivia, or did anything like, tell us about that?
Okay, so what I did was, so carrying on from that, one of my good friends is Nancy McMillan, and she is the chair of the Bright Run. They raise $300,000 a year for the Juravinski Cancer Center through their run. And
Okay.
she's wonderful. She actually volunteers at Juravinski. She met my dad once. They had like the best day. She made that day so good for my dad. It was amazing. So everything was like connecting. She was like now part of our little thing. And so she said to me, you know what, I would love for you to design jewelry for the Bright Run, but I don't want to do it in a way that I'm selling to raise money, because our team leaders will do that. She goes, I want to incent the team leaders to raise more with your jewels. So that was the first project I had, where she came up with this brilliant idea of, let's do a base bracelet in certain colors, but as the people achieve different targets, as they raise money, they get a charm for each
Oh,
dollar amount. So it'd be like $1,000, you get a little Swarovski charm. You raise $2,000, you get like a warrior helmet. You raise $5,000, you get something else. Like, so we built these kind of bracelets where it's all about like, oh, I got that charm, you don't have that charm. Like they're like kind of competing with each other, but it's
yeah.
really effective, right?
That is so
So
cool. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Competition.
great. Yeah. And so Nancy really inspired me too with this whole give back. I had been doing it already, but I'm like, oh my God, the power of this is amazing. And also I learned that, you know, people want to raise money for anything. It doesn't mean you have to be part of a big charity. Like Nancy was one person who was a breast cancer survivor who had very good treatment through Juravinski and decided, I'm going to start this run and raise more so that women don't have to go through what I went through, you know, and they have the best possible care, and we just keep getting better and better. And so she's one person and she built this whole thing. It's incredible. So I thought, well, I can do that for other people too. And it doesn't have to be like, okay, you got to organize a run, but you can at least do a little bracelet with me. So I've had women like, I don't know if you know, a lot of the busy women know Nicole Todd from Pampered Chef. She's a wonderful person. And she had a friend who had cancer, and the cancer had to be treated in Germany. It was very unique. And so she said, can we design a little bracelet? This is what my friend likes, these colors, this sort of thing. And she told her friend's story, put it on Facebook. She said, I don't know if I'm going to get many orders from you. I'm not sure. And I think she sold 200 bracelets in like a week, and paid for the woman to go to Germany and back, you
Amazing.
know? So it's like people have power. And that's what I love when I do these fundraisers. I, I love it because of what it gives back to others, but I
Yeah.
love it so much because women see how powerful they are. They're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I can do this. Like,
Yeah.
if they're, you know, because sometimes, you know, we think, well, who am I? I mean, is anybody going to go for this, support this?
Well, true. And a
Yeah,
lot of people still have, I should say ladies, a lot of ladies still have the thought in their mind that it's a man's world. And that's not the case. We feel that way,
yeah,
but it's not the case. It's that story is running internally inside of us,
yeah,
because there isn't any guy stomping on you to say you can't do this. It's our own, I hate the term, but it's our own limiting beliefs. It's what
it
we heard.
is.
It's whatever the message we got when we were young, and then we still
Yeah,
believe that today. So yeah, so it's powerful what you're doing, because you're so creative. You're an artist. It's hard to combine money and art, because a lot of times people are, they're on the right brain.
yeah,
And I mean, I'm on the left brain, so you're right, I'm all about money, but I am very creative too, and combining the two. So you're doing that, and then making this work through charity. And we should have like connected with you like 2 years ago, when Wallet to Wealth hasn't been quite 2 years yet. I think it's about, I don't know, 20 months.
yeah,
But I mean, look at what we've done in such a short period
yeah.
of time. And I didn't have a social media presence because I'm a business owner in Burlington, and I got to stay
Great.
under the radar. Like it's like that. This is not my marketing scheme.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm already busy. So give a busy person something to do, and yeah, it'll get done. So
yeah,
I love that
totally.
idea. So tell us too. I just want to, because in the essence of time, I want to talk about your Advent calendar
Oh God.
that I missed out on because I knew nothing about it. So
Yeah,
because I know that people love these Advent calendars, and so you've
yeah,
created these awesome ones with a beautiful gift every day during the month of December, which, by the
Yeah.
way, you can't order them right now because they're sold out, but she's going to
Yeah.
tell us about it.
Yeah. So this is something I launch in July. And anyway, but I will say just pay attention to Black Friday. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
No more
really?
than that. That's a teaser
That,
for Black
that's
Friday.
that's this coming this Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm paying attention.
Yeah. But so what we did was we created this wonderful, and also having a German background, I grew up with the advent calendar, right? Like and I never had the chocolate ones, Whitney. I had the ones with the pictures, and they got me so excited. And it was the same ratty calendar every year until I was a teenager that would come out of the basement and go on my wall. And I remember every picture and I couldn't wait to open it. And I never opened one early. And that just, it was like a magical thing coming out of that calendar. Anyway, so I thought I want to give that magic to other people. And so, yeah, I came up with this advent calendar idea and I launched it July the 25th because a lot of people do this Christmas in July kind of promoting at that time. And so that's great because it gives me plenty of time to get the orders in. And I give people, from July the 25th until August the 1st, they can order. I think we do tax included. Yeah. And then after that, from August, they have until the end of August to order, and then that's it. They have to have their order in by then, because September, October, November, we're making these calendars. And now, it's always the same every year. We're in crunch time. So this week I probably won't be sleeping, and it'll be, everyone will get their calendars by December the 1st.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's so great.
You don't have a piece with you right there that you could show us, do you?
Oh, you know what? It's in
the
the
little
other
box?
room, the calendar. I
Oh,
could
well,
run and grab, but if you go on my social media, you'll see it. So it's like 25. So most advent calendars are 24 days, but I actually do 25 days. And the 25th day, you get something quite exquisite. So it's all these little boxes, and each one is numbered, and then we wrap them, and there's little bows on them, and they all go into a big, like, beautiful white organza bag, and then they're in there in order. So some women will put them by their bed and every morning open themselves a little gift. And yeah, it's
it.
really great. Yeah, it's fun. We
I
need
love
a little sparkle.
I love
Yeah.
the creativity. So in your business, people can, or you have all sorts of items. So just tell us briefly
Right.
outside of the charitable part. Yeah. How does it work just for the regular Joe? I'm a regular Joe.
So we have like a banner on our page, and it says shop the showroom. So if you click there, it'll take you into our showroom, and those are all the pieces that we have right now available to buy.
Okay.
But this piece I wore it today, actually. So, everything's backwards on here. Here we go. I don't want to cover it with so this is a little necklace, and these are Swarovski crystals. They're little stars. And so this is not, I'm going back to fundraising, but this is actually something I do every year. This is the 11th year. It's called our Three Little Wishes collection. And we design a unique piece of jewelry for a family where either a mom or dad has cancer and they have children, and we raise the money for the family, and they are $35 with proceeds going back to the family. And so every year I design a unique piece of jewelry. So I don't make the same piece every year. It's like this year the family has a necklace. Last year we did earrings, we've done bracelets, all kinds of different things. So this year we're helping, and a lot of people might know her, Tara McIntosh, who is she's from the Writing Suite. She's a writer, and her husband, they wanted to start a family, and they found out, I think back in March or April, that she was pregnant with twins. They found that out in the morning, and the evening they found out that he has esophageal cancer.
Oh.
So talk about, it's crazy. So these are the kinds of stories, that I share, and people can support them. They can either participate in buying the jewelry, or they can just donate proceeds through me to them, whatever they want to do. So far we've raised $1,200 for them. And we're hoping to double that. I'll be on CH Morning Live in December to talk about them, and that gets a lot of attention on them as well. So Yeah, it's good.
Great.
But you know, I do custom work, like whatever. I've done pieces of jewelry for women who want to do like branded things, like a necklace that in the colors of their brand, so that when they're doing public speaking, they're wearing their brand colors. Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, you're so creative. It's like, this is just so
It's
cool.
endless, Whitney.
If you have a, like, you've got an awesome business mind. So I love how you do this. So one of the comments I just want to come back to is that you
Yeah.
said working on the business, working versus working in the business.
Yeah.
And again, because I have financial degrees, it's really important that people understand that statement, because a lot of times what we are doing is we're working in our business, and and you're not trying, you can't figure out, like, am I profitable, what's going on here. Shoot, my battery is in but my battery went into save mode, so I might run for a cord in a second and let you talk for a second. But it's really important that people work on their business.
Yeah.
You work in your business making money, but you have to take some time back, and you need to actually work on your business,
Yeah.
which is strategies. What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm just running for a course.
Sure. Do you want me to talk about the on the business while you're doing
Sure,
the course?
that I want to talk on that and what's next in your business, because they're both connected, because you are working on your business. Keep going. I'll be right back.
Okay. So the working on the business as opposed to working in the business, it's hard. And to be honest, you guys, I still struggle with that today. Like, I'm taking home jewels to make for my advent calendars, which, I have people who can assist me with that. But sometimes it's still a struggle to like let go of things and really be sort of like overseeing everything. So I think it's really important, as Whitney was saying, to understand your numbers and take a look, because sometimes you'll look at something and it'll be like, well, if I do it myself, then I don't have to pay this person, which is going to save me this much. But you almost have to say, okay, so I have this thing, I need to do it. So I'm going to pay someone else to do it. And in the meantime, I'm going to work on this, which is going to be another revenue generator. So you're like increasing your profitability while you're paying out somebody else to work on something in your business. Because if you're in it, you can't be on it. You can't do them both at the same time. I wish we could, but right, it's hard. So I was just saying, Whitney, I still struggle with that. Like,
I could hear that. Something, I think what we could do, we'll talk about this after, but I think we should do a session with business owners, because I'm just writing an article right now about this, and the person who's editing it for me is saying, well, gee whiz, these terms we don't understand. And what's really cool is that you understand this from the artistic mind, and it's really important that we share and we teach other women, because we are in a women's group right now, to be able to do your passion, but to teach them the steps on how to be profitable. For some reason, there's this fear of making a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with making a massive pile of money. Charge for your services, learn how to run those ratios, learn how to work on your business. Exactly what you said. Should I leverage? Should I hire somebody? When do I do that? I know how to do all that stuff, but what's really cool is that, you're somebody who's understanding it, but you're saying that you need to know more. And I think there's just, everyone's like that. We should just help and get a workshop together so we can physically help people to understand, because you've done it, you've leveraged, you know what it's like to have staff. I know what it's like to have staff. You also know what it's like to not have staff. And because everything in business, every single time we solve a problem, we will create another problem, and then we solve that problem and we create another problem. That's called business. And that is, if you have a business degree from university, that's what happens. So, and the better that we are on working on our business, we understand how to, solve that problem. Because as you grow, there will always be problems. It's not a cakewalk in life. You just can't make all sorts of money without having some difficulty. The same as, you know, when you worked at the post office, you can't just work somewhere for 40 years and not have some difficulty somewhere along the way. In the job, you don't have as much control, but in your life, you do have some control. And then you also have the ability to ask for help and leverage and have other team peoples come in when we can let go. Because a lot of times as a business owner, we're really controlling. It's all about us. It's like, we make decisions. We know what we're doing. What do you mean? You know, like, you're going to tell us what to do. And sometimes some of the greatest solutions actually come from, you know, the team, where somebody else says, oh, you know what, I have a solution. It's like, oh, I didn't think of that one. So in your business going forward, so what next do you see?
Yeah. You know what? I just want to, can I touch on that very quickly?
Yeah.
I think that for me, that fire of working on and not in certain parts of my business really came when I finally figured out what my purpose was. Like, why was I even doing this in the first place? That's when it hit me. And now, I mean, when I do, so I have a couple of young girls who do jewelry production at home from me. So I'll give them, you know, like right now we're doing a big project for the Bob Kemp Hospice. They want to raise money to build a hospice for children.
Okay.
So I have a young girl. She started as like a co-op student, and now I just hired her like last week. She's amazing. So I gave her all the materials to make these. She's got to make 100 bracelets. And I said, so before you start, I want you to think about something. We're helping little kids who are, you know, at the end of their life. This is very sad, but I want you to think about that as you're making them. I want you to put your good energy into this. We're passing good energy to people to help them heal, to help. And she's like, okay, I think she's like, oh my God, this person I work for is crazy. But she connects. She's like, okay. And so then she goes home with the beads, and it's like, it has meaning to her now too. She knows she's doing something wonderful for someone. So now we're exchanging money, but energetically it's more of a blessing almost than, okay, you got to make 100 of this. Let's get this going. Let's get this. And you know, things
the outcome will be different. The outcome will be different if you say, look, I want 100 made, and I want them made, you know, with this time, and just get it done. Versus, you know, I want you to put your good holistic energy into this, because this is going to somebody at the end stage of their life, and it's not only going to impact the person that's going to wear it, it's going to impact all the people around who love this person. It's such a difficult time. So you're right, the end product is gonna have that energy in it, and it's going to be even more beautiful than the crack the whip and get this done. It's so cool, because I mean, so you're coming from a spot of grace. You're coming from a spot of grace, and I always love that in a business owner, is that when we reach the pinnacle in our lives where we're actually giving and we're working from grace. So you're not bugging people on Facebook. You're not in my messenger trying to sell me stuff. I mean, for those of you who wonder why it takes me so long to answer my messenger messages, it's because people are hitting on me. And so it's not a good thing for me to go to Messenger and go, oh, I've got 29 messages in there. Who really wants to talk to me, and who wants to sell me something that I don't need?
Right. Yeah.
Get to know who your audience is, get to know who your customer is, and that experience. I mean, this is why Monica has stayed in business for more than 2 decades. Most businesses fail within the first 5 years. Majority of businesses, I think on average, according to Tony Robbins, only make 50,000 a year. Well, why use your blood, sweat, and tears to work your brains out to make 50 grand when you can go do that at some company for 8 hours a day and have 16 hours to do whatever. But to really know your client, to get to know the people that you're talking to, because what happens is that's what creates the longevity. It creates the wealth. But what it also does is it creates change. It creates energy. You know, opportunities are endless, and that's what you've done, and that's what I love about you. And so your energy, when you did flash by on my Facebook a number of times, it was like, you know, and all of this busy thing that's going on in my life, I've got to track you down and be able to get to know you and promote you and help. And out of our conversation, I'm supersonic interested, obviously,
Oh,
in doing some wallet to wealth bracelets and jewelry and stuff. So we'll be able to
yeah.
talk about that, and anybody else who's watching, because fundraising is a big thing, and it has to go to whatever is deep within your heart. Like Diane Lazan was telling me this morning, her passion is rescue dogs and raising money. So it's, and I
Yeah.
mean, this is the thing, is that, you know, I so want to encourage women to write larger checks for charity, please, because the
Yeah.
guys write out big checks, and we need to do that too, because it's money and flow. The more we give away, the more will come back to us. So your whole
Yeah.
idea with the jewelry is it's such a nice idea, because people can, you know, they can feel that they're helping, but they're also getting something that they can use for themselves, or they can gift it to another person. And I know women and children
Yeah.
love jewelry.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, the other thing that's kind of cool that I've changed around, and oh my God, I just want to mention Joanne as well. She's done amazing. Like, she's raising money to build a veterinary clinic in Cuba, and like, she's kicking butt. She's designed like 4 different bracelet styles with me now. They're all getting stacked up people's wrists, and she's done, I think she's already over $2,000. So the other thing too about this, it's like, for anybody who doesn't have $2,000 in their wallet to hand over, I'm not a person who says, okay, you got to give me a deposit before we start this. No, I do it for free. I design the bracelet. I send you the picture for free. I help you write your story. I don't want money for that. I want us to connect and come together and do something beautiful together. And then we'll do the money stuff after, once you've pre-sold all your bracelets, then we do that
That's
part,
amazing.
right? But
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it gives people power, I think. And
That's why you're here for so long. It's not about the deal. It's not about the buck in your
no,
pocket. It's about giving, but you also have the business sense
yeah,
aside, where you can separate. It's the same as me. I have to do the same thing. I've got a
right.
whole giving side of me, but yep, I need to
Yeah.
bring
But
revenue in.
Whitney, wouldn't you agree? Like, it takes a long time to get there. I would say in the last 2 years, I've finally mastered this. Like, for a long time, I was like, okay, come on, let's do a fundraiser. Like, I got hydro bills. I was like that. I got to pay my mortgage. Like, I was like that. And then it wasn't until I made that switch of like, this
When
is
you let it
not
go.
about you, jackass. You
Yeah.
know?
It's what
But
it's
it,
when you start working from grace. It's when you
yeah.
allow that spirit of giving, and you start. And so you made that switch, and that's another lesson that I would just love to, you know, teach all the Facebook people that
Yes.
are coming at you trying to sell things. It's
Most
like,
valuable lesson, man.
you
And
will
really,
not stay in business for 20 years if
no,
you're hitting on people. It's the same
yeah,
thing as guys that hit on us. Like, you know, how
exactly.
many, you know, if you think about when you met your husband,
Yeah,
you know, was it because he was pestering you, you know, to buy his product?
yeah,
Um, or did he get to know you? Who's Monica?
yes,
What do I really love about Monica? And
yeah,
and and I love me when I'm around Monica. And that's the best way to be,
yeah,
is to feel in love with yourself when you're around somebody. And I mean, you have that. Like,
yeah.
you have such a nice spirit that people would, you know, they just gravitate to you, and they want a piece of you. And
Aw,
because you've got that giving loving heart, full of grace and experience, you know. Yeah, so okay, we're
yeah.
gonna have to wrap up. We went
This
a little
was
bit,
so fun.
but
Oh,
yeah, it is. So
yeah.
we've had some people actually stay on through the whole call. Sorry,
Oh,
we went a
great.
little bit longer, but it's Monica
Oh,
and Whitney. So you know what, let's continue this. I'm going to shut down now, but we'll
yeah.
continue. And
Okay.
just to say to people at the end, is that I want you and I to do a business workshop together. So we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
And I just want to thank you so much for taking the
Oh,
time, because there is a lot of time that we do to put into one of these shows. And just thank you for being you. And I'm just going to give you the last saying here.
oh, Whitney, I'm so grateful and I'm so happy because I went to your gala evening, like not this time, but the one before. And you've got such a great energy about you. I was like, this is such a fun night and I want to meet this lady one day. And I thank you for reaching out to me, and I want to have you on my show as well. Yeah, I think I just feel really blessed and really happy that you have this platform for women. It's so important, and I'm so glad you're doing this, because it's through sharing stories that we get inspiration. It's not, you know, so, looking at what other people are doing in competition. No, we want real stories. People, we all struggle. It's okay, and you're allowing us to talk about that here, which I think is wonderful. So,
and how we get over it and how we punch through it. Just
exactly. Push through, man. Stand in your power.
Stand in your power. I love that. Vision what you want. Don't lie on a couch with the flu.
Oh, exactly. And I will end up with, I will say this as my final thing. I always say this if I do a public speaking event. Olivia Newton-John, everybody, I want you to go home, or you're probably at home, go home. And I want you to put on the song Magic. And I want you to listen to the lyrics, and I want you to let it seep in. And if it doesn't seep in the first time, you put that song on repeat until you get it. It's going to change your life. I'm telling you.
I got to believe in magic. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.